Everything will be just fine. Maybe take some time, unwind, read a book, drink some wine. Don't worry, we'll be here all night. All night. All night. All night. Don't get me started. I brought the party. Don't sell yourself for love, sister shawty. I've gotten tough love potential to be the best. I must have fell into a spell. I wish them well. Train tracks derail, cold red like braille. Stale bread for sale. Rolex dreams, but I'd rather buy a home. Have a dog, my lady, and get stoned. Give a dog a bone, sipping on that chrome. Together alone, we connect like we roam. The city streets on a park bench. You'll never be satisfied or content with what you want and you can't get. Everything will be just fine. Maybe take some time, unwind, read a book, drink some wine. Don't worry, we'll be here all night. All night. All night. All
Yo, check, 1, 2. Yeah, we only started. Love so cathartic. Like an art form, baby, I'm the canvas, you're the artist. Knew from the jump, you were the one for flipping the plans. No slipping, no pimping, no tripping, no yams. I'm thanking the Lord for you taking my hand, but still we only started. I wanna build a home with you. I wanna have a nice ass crib with nice ass kids, and I love that you want that too. Oh, who could ever come stand in the way? Some of my demons, I push them away. I know in my heart that this feeling will stick, cause your love keeps me going with infinite faith. Just know that
everything will be just fine. Maybe take some time, unwind, read a book, drink some wine. Don't worry, we'll be here all night. Up all night. All night. Up all night. All night. Up all night. All night.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Jesse Miki, and welcome everyone to On the Move, the second national showcase for Asian Heritage Month of this May 2022. Before we start our event, I'm speaking to you from Winnipeg, Manitoba, and we would like to acknowledge that we are located on Treaty 1 territory, and that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and on the homeland of the Métis Nation. The Asian Heritage Month is an opportunity for all of us to learn more about the many achievements and contributions of Canadians of Asian heritage who, throughout our history, have done so much to make Canada the country we know and love. The theme of Asian Heritage Month 2022 is Continuing a Legacy of Greatness. This month is a reminder for all Canadians to come together to combat anti-Asian racism and discrimination in all its forms. Well, during the second National Asian Heritage Month Symposium, many participants expressed their desire to develop a national network of collaboration and exchange to strengthen unity between Asian artistic organizations and artists across Canada. Festival Accès Asie responded to this call by launching a national showcase based on a collective program bringing together 3 Canadian cities to collaborate Asian Heritage Month in May 2021. That event brought together artists from Montreal, Vancouver, and Winnipeg, working in the dance, music, and multidisciplinary fields. Asian Heritage Society of Manitoba is proud to lead this organization this year and program this year, working along with the Festival Accès Asie in Montreal, Vancouver Asian Heritage Month Society in Vancouver, and artists based in Edmonton for the second national program. Working in collaboration, these 3 organizations dedicated to Asian Canadian heritage will present the national showcase, La Vitrine Nationale, followed by a Q&A session with our artists. And before we introduce our artists for this evening, we'd like to introduce to you Dr. Art Miki, who I'm sure many of you know and love. Dr. Art Miki has had a distinguished career as an educator, citizenship judge, more importantly, community activist. Dr. Miki was president of the National Association of Japanese Canadians when he led the negotiations to achieve a just redress settlement for Japanese Canadians interned during the Second World War. In 1991, he received the country's highest recognition, the Order of Canada. And in July 12th, 2012, he received the not so lesser Order of Manitoba. He is the founder and former president of the Asian Heritage Society of Manitoba, and to this day still serves on the board, still serving on many other boards as well, such as the Japanese Cultural Association of Manitoba, and also he's just a really great grandpa as well. I know personally. And with that said, I believe he wasn't able to make it here live this evening. He just had a bit of a cough this evening. But he gave me a really great thing to read to you all, so I will unfold that now. Yes, here we go. It's hard to believe that the Asian Heritage Society of Manitoba is celebrating its 20th year of existence. This group was formed in 2001, bringing together leaders from various Asian Canadian communities to organize activities annually in May, a month designated by the Canadian government in 2002 as Asian Heritage Month. Why is Asian Heritage Month important to recognize? Well, he'll tell you. It gives us a chance to acknowledge contributions made by Asian Canadians locally and nationally. And it's an opportunity to share the culture, arts, music, films, cuisines, faith, spirituality, and friendship of various Asian cultures. And it allows us to work in partnerships with other Asian Canadian communities in Manitoba. It helps develop cultural identity among our youth. I know that one, that's true. And most importantly, it fosters a greater understanding and appreciation of Asian culture and heritage amongst Canadians in general. We have established partnerships with other groups, the Canadian Museum for Human Rights, the University of Winnipeg, and this year we are extending our activities beyond the month of May by outreaching to other non-Asian organizations. Tonight is an example of reaching out nationally and promoting Asian heritage and culture. Enjoy the performances. Our very first performance, yes, our first artists are residing from Vancouver. It's Angelica Solomon and Marissa Victor. Angelica is a gender-fluid Desi poet, spoken word artist, organizer, and multidisciplinary performer based in what is colonially known as Vancouver, BC, on the stolen and unsurrendered territories of the Coast Salish, Squamish, Sileyu, Wauwatoth, and Musqueam nations. Apologies if I pronounce those wrong. You can watch their most recent poetry film production, Honey Queen and Fruticana, on Fraser Street, which recently premiered on YouTube and all streaming platforms. Their poetic works often seek to proclaim the possibilities of love and resilience. Angelica is a poet of startling emotional intellect and candor, whose work testifies to a deep faith in beauty, the power of nature, and ultimately the human capacity to salvage integrity, radiance, and joy from moments of struggle. In this way, Angelica Solomon's poems and performances offer robust visions of hope, tenacity, and love. Marissa is a filmmaker, animator, and illustrator, driven to craft engaging, meaningful stories that connect, inspire, change, and uplift. Her work primarily revolves around the subject of identity, community, and place. She's a 2019 Adobe Creativity Scholar and 2020 graduate of the University of British Columbia's Media Studies program. Very cool. Her work in film, animation, and illustration has led to collaborations with artists and brands in Malaysia and Canada. We should talk later too. Her 2020 animated film, Electric City, exhibited at the Mount Pleasant Community Art Screen, curated by the Grunt Gallery in Vancouver, Canada. Her 2018 spoken word film, The Entropy of Forgiveness, has been screened in festivals in Germany, Ireland, and California, and was chosen as a winner of the hashtag Kind Art Challenge, hosted by Adobe Project 1324 and the Born This Way Foundation. And now, without further ado, please welcome Angelica Solomon and Marissa Victor.
This song is a reminder to heal the inner child in me that might have been silenced for any reason, and to love that inner child so hard that she feels free to sing and dance and play and follow her heart. And that's just what the song is for.
Stand firm in your power. Speak your truth.
speak my truth, I'm inviting others into ways of loving me, and I'm loving myself, and that's what the song is about. And I feel ready to move into that direction with my life.
Speak your truth.
Thank you so much, Angelica and Marissa. And hey, look, it's my co-host Padma who can speak French, and that's certainly an asset.
Merci beaucoup, Angelica et Marissa. Je m'excuse pour cet imprévu technique et je me présente Pema Tournadre pour vous accompagner en français ce soir.
Wonderbar. Our very next artists reside from Edmonton. Sony Dasmopatra and Shrina Patel. Sony has been involved in the Alberta cultural sector since she was a child. She is a trained classical Indian Kathak dancer. Sony is a choreographer of dances from India, such as Bhangra, Bengali, and Odia folk, as well as Bollywood. She's been a cultural administrator in the areas of Canadian heritage and arts in Alberta and Ontario. Most recently, she's collaborated with Skirts of Fire to be a storyteller in the documentary COVID Collections that was featured during the month of October in 2021 and in the Edmonton International Film Festival. As part of her community work in Edmonton, she's a board member of two cultural organizations, Asthma Theatre and LitFest. She's a member of Third Space Playback Company, and in 2021, she attended the Post-Marginal Edmonton Theatre Forum. Sony is a passionate consultant, educator, and arts practitioner who uses yoga and somatics as pathways of self-discovery, healing, and artistic creation. Shrina has dedicated her life to dance and theater ever since her first trip to India. Dance became a way to advocate for equality, women's rights, and justice. So she resides in Edmonton, where she directs shows in collaboration with local artists. And throughout the year, she travels around Canada, collaborating with studios, teaching dance and yoga, workshops, and even performing. In 2015, Shrina founded Shakti Flow, a dance and theater company, which aligned me to and afforded the opportunity to communicate and bring awareness for nonprofits such as Girls International to end the trafficking of girls in Asian countries, and also Winhouse to raise awareness and funds to support women escaping abusive relationships and marriages. Canadian Red Cross also bringing an exploration of lighthearted fun to the organizers and workers working tirelessly to bring aid in times of emergency and gracing the stage at Skirts of Fire to illustrate, teach, and bring action to the now common phrase, women supporting women, thereby creating a connection of sisterhood.
Nous allons maintenant du côté d'Alberta avec Sony Dasmopatra et Shrina Patel. Sony participe au secteur culturel albertain depuis son enfance. Elle est danseuse professionnelle de Kathak, une danse classique indienne. Sony est également chorégraphe de différentes danses indiennes comme le Bhangra, les danses folkloristes bangalaises et Odissi, en plus de la danse bollywoodienne. Elle a travaillé comme administratrice culturelle dans le domaine du patrimoine et des arts canadiens en Alberta et en Ontario. Elle a récemment collaboré avec Skirts of Fire à titre de conteuse dans le documentaire COVID Collections, présenté en octobre 2020 à l'Edmonton International Film Festival. Dans le cadre de son travail communautaire à Edmonton, elle siège au conseil d'administration de deux organismes culturels, le Athimus Theatre et LitFest. Elle est également membre de la Third Space Playback Company. En 2021, elle participe au Forum théâtral Post-Marginal Edmonton. Sony est également conseillère, éducatrice et adepte des arts passionnés qui emploie le yoga et les pratiques somatiques comme chemin vers la découverte, la guérison et la création artistique. Shrina a dévoué sa vie à la danse et au théâtre dès son premier voyage en Inde. Alors, la danse est devenue un moyen pour elle de militer pour l'égalité, les droits des femmes, justice. Elle habite à Edmonton où elle dirige des spectacles en collaboration avec des artistes locaux. Toute l'année, elle voyage à travers le Canada pour collaborer avec des studios, animer des ateliers de danse et de yoga et se produire sur scène. En 2015, Shrina a fondé Shakti Flow, une compagnie de danse et de théâtre qui donne l'occasion et la capacité de soutenir et d'attirer l'attention du public sur des organismes à but non lucratif. Ces organismes incluent notamment Girls International, qui œuvre à éliminer le trafic des filles dans les pays asiatiques, Winhouse, qui vise à sensibiliser et collecter des fonds au profit de femmes cherchant à sortir de relations et de mariages abusifs, ainsi que la Croix-Rouge canadienne, afin de permettre aux organisateurs et travailleurs d'urgence indéfectibles d'explorer un divertissement léger. Elle s'est également produite sur la scène de Skirts of Fire afin d'illustrer, d'enseigner et de mettre en œuvre l'entraide entre femmes, créant par le fait un lien de sororité. Et il y a aussi sa fille Nia qui va participer à la danse et elle a 7 ans. Merci.
Mangalam. Bhumi Mangalam. Agni Mangalam. Vayu Mangalam. Jayu Mangalam. Salva Mangalam. Bhavatu Bhavatu Bhavatu. Salva Mangalam. Bhavatu Bhavatu Bhavatu. Salva Mangalam. Bhavatu Bhavatu Bhavatu.
नमस्ते। हम अल्बर्टन के रूप में सम्मानपूर्वक स्वीकार करते हैं कि हम ट्रीटी 6 टेरिटरी, फर्स्ट नेशंस और मेटी पीपल की पारंपरिक भूमि पर स्थित हैं। हम फर्स्ट नेशंस, मेटी, इनुइट और कनाडा के सभी फर्स्ट पीपल्स यानी कि प्रथम लोग के इतिहास, भाषाओं और संस्कृतियों का सम्मान करते हैं, जिनकी उपस्थिति में हमारे जीवित समुदाय और समृद्ध करते हैं। हम इस नृत्य को अमिस्क्वाची स्वस्काई गान के लिए प्रार्थना के रूप में प्रस्तुत करते हैं, जो क्री, ब्लैकफुट, मेटी, नकोरसू, इरिक्वा, डने, ओजिबे, साल्टो, अनिशनाबे, इनुइट और कई अन्य लोगों के लिए पारंपरिक सबस्थल है, जिनके इतिहास, भाषाएं और संस्कृतियाँ हमारे सम्मुख भविष्य को प्रभावित और निम्रित करते रहते हैं।
A mandala is a geometric meditation map made of nested squares and circles, typically arranged to represent the center of the universe and the 4 main directions: east, west, north, and south. Translated into English from Sanskrit, mandala can be understood as a mind map for meditation. Man meaning mind, and dala, a map. It could also be interpreted as a circle. In this dance, we form a mandala with flowers and leaves, creating a sacred circle that transverses across time and space, representing generations of South Asians who have made the journey to Canada for over 100 years. Devi is a performance that showcases the symbol of strength of 3 generations of women who have been born and raised in Edmonton. It is a recognition of all the strong and resilient Indigenous peoples and South Asian women who have built, loved, and wept on this land. This dance is in tribute to a Miskawachi Waskaken, the place the dancers call home.
स्वरूपेण हतदैत्यमाबले घोररूपे महारावे भैरवी नमोस्तुते शिवदूते स्वरूपेण हतदैत्यमाबले घोररूपे महारावे भैरवी नमोस्तुते
Agni Mangalam, Vayu Mangalam, Jayu Mangalam, Salva Mangalam, Bhagatu Bhagatu Bhagatu, Salva Mangalam, Bhagatu Bhagatu Bhagatu, Salva Mangalam, Bhagatu Bhagatu Bhagatu. Om.
Thank you so much, Sony and Shrina.
Merci beaucoup, Sony, Shrina et Nia. Et nous aimerions maintenant que Sony et Shrina nous partagent quelques phrases sur leur performance.
Now, Shrina and Sony are going to just give some reflections on their performance. Hello.
Hi.
Hello, namaste. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Sony, I believe you're muted. I got you.
Mm-mm.
She's got this. I can interpretive dance the fact that I cannot hear you. No.
Can you hear
nothing.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I don't need earphones after all. So, I just want to take this opportunity to thank all the festival organizers for having us and really take the time to really appreciate what Asian heritage means nationally, but especially within the context of Edmonton. So the first South Asian that came to Edmonton was in 1905. It was Sohan Singh Buller, and he built a huge community, but because of restrictive immigration laws, he was unable to settle. And a lot of other South Asians who came during the time between 1910 to about 1945 had a lot of troubles with immigration. So the fact that the South Asian community has been able to grow and prosper across Canada, especially in the prairies, is something that should be celebrated within the context of Asian Heritage Month that I want to bring forward. This dance is actually an opportunity to share our personal histories, mine and Shrina's. Both of us are extremely devoted yogis, and we love classical dance, and we love our traditions that are brought from our homeland of India. Even though I was born and raised here, my family was very instrumental in keeping these traditions and these pieces alive, which I generationally also want to pass on to my daughter. This is why I've invited her to perform in this piece. So what you see here is actually a piece about the divine feminine and the power of women and the power of all the Indigenous women and all the South Asian women and all the Asian women who established themselves across the prairies in terms of creation, in terms of formation. Niyati opens with a prayer that respects the elements, right? Earth, water, fire, because we are all in one with the elements. Then we move into doing a puja or spiritual ceremony that gives homage to the land of Kaigan, which is Treaty 6, where we are in Edmonton. And then Shrina and I do a dance about Shakti, or the divine feminine, Devi, who resides in all of us. And this is an opportunity to share the diversity of Asian communities, especially within the South Asian Hindu-Indian context. The reason I bring this forward too is because a lot of yoga studios have culture appropriated many of these images and forms of dance in a way that sometimes is not positive, but there are also positive people who have done this. So I want to decolonize this and bring this to the forefront in a very positive way. And I'll pass it on to Shrina because this is the piece that I was hoping to depict as part of our collaboration. Thank you.
Sony, thank you so much for introducing our piece. When Sony and I first got together to create this piece, we wanted to highlight the importance of our heritage and our upbringing. So though we are both born and raised in Edmonton on Treaty 6, both our families rooted us in our culture, rooted us in our heritage, and we grew up knowing these elements within ourselves, and they play out in our everyday lives. Sony and I are both yoga teachers, and it became really apparent
as soon as we started collaborating, that this needed to be the primary vessel in which we would carry our movement through. The beautiful thing about mandala, and what many people don't know about mandala, is the creation of mandala is a ceremony in itself. And we wanted to root ourselves in Treaty 6. We wanted to say that we honor this land that has been preserved by Indigenous peoples for so long. We know that we are here. We are guests on this land. And we wanted to highlight our individual dances as well. So Sony comes from a very classical Indian background, and I am Gujarati, so my heritage, my culture is in Garba. My dance, my folk dance is in Garba, and in a little bit of classical dabbling. So I have a little bit of fusion style in me too. So there's a little bit of a union happening between Sony and I. And that also speaks to the diaspora of South Asian communities that exist in this land. That when you think South Asian, you're not just thinking one thing. We wanted to represent as many cultures as we absolutely could. So we have Kathak, we have Bharatanatyam, we have Odissi, we have Garba. I'm dabbling in Rajasthani dance as well. And not to say that is all of South Asian culture and heritage. It is not, but we are trying to do our best to embody and encapsulate all of them in this performance, to say there hasn't just been one heritage of South Asian peoples on this land. There are many, and there continues to be so many people. Asian is a very broad stroke. When we say Asian, what do we think of first? And it's so important to not classify us as one group, that we can honor this group, but also honor all the groups that make up this umbrella term that we refer to as just saying Asian. So yeah, having our dance the collaboration in our dance was a depiction of as many cultures and as many peoples as we possibly could. And that was our intention. And I'm really, really grateful to share this space with everyone at this moment online right now. And this is such a beautiful time that we are in, that artists from one part of Canada can share their stories and make themselves heard in another part. And I'm really grateful. Sony and I are both very grateful to be here. I think this is such a lovely opportunity to say, hey, we are here and we represent two different South Asian cultures. And I think that in itself is very powerful. It's about creating spaces, I think, for more of us. Oh, Jesse, you're muted.
You're muted.
I meant to say thank you so much for your wonderful words.
Merci beaucoup, Sony et Shrina, pour vos mots.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next artists reside from Montreal, Hubach and Hubach Quintet. The composer and multi-instrumentalist Hubach founded his quintet in Montreal, skillfully combining his Vietnamese and Chinese heritages to North American jazz music. Backed by a solid team of some of the most prominent musicians of the up-and-coming Montreal jazz scene, Hubach performs his compositions inspired by the numerous travels in Asia, Europe, and South America he's had. In concert, he charms a large public audience through the beauty and intensity of his musical pieces, as well as through his impressive mastery of the Dan Bao, which is Vietnamese monochord, the erhu, a Chinese fiddle, and the quena, which is simply an Andean flute, and of course the jazz guitar. The Hubach Quintet delivers a true dialogue between Asian, North, and South American cultures in a contemporary, original, and unique way.
Notre prochain artiste nous vient de Montréal, Hubach et Hubach Quintet. Compositeur et multi-instrumentaliste, Hubach a fondé son quintet à Montréal, combinant adroitement son héritage vietnamien et chinois à la musique jazz nord-américaine. Accompagné d'une équipe solide de certains des musiciens les plus éminents de la scène jazz et rock montréalaise, Hubach joue ses compositions inspirées de ses nombreux voyages en Asie, en Europe et en Amérique du Sud. En concert, il séduit un large public tant par la beauté et l'intensité des pièces que par sa maîtrise impressionnante du down bao, qui est un monocorde vietnamien, de l'eru, la vielle chinoise, et de la Kenya, une flûte des ondes, et de la guitare jazz. Le Hubach Quintet offre un véritable dialogue entre les cultures asiatiques, nord-américaines et sud-américaines de façon contemporaine, originale et unique.
And now, without further ado, Hubach Quach.
Bonjour à tous, je m'appelle Hubach Quach, je suis un compositeur et multi-instrumentiste basé à Montréal. Hi everybody, my name is Hubach Quach. I'm very pleased to take part in this year's edition of On the Move. Tonight I will present for you 3 pieces of music. The first one will be a composition of mine that I wrote for this instrument here. It's called a dan bao. It's a traditional instrument from Vietnam with only 1 string. The second piece will be a Chinese folk song called Kang Ding Qing Ge that I arranged for the kena. It's a South American bamboo flute. This particular performance was filmed in Hangzhou during a China tour in 2019. And the last piece will be another composition of mine that I wrote for the Chinese erhu using an Afro-Peruvian rhythm called festejo. I hope you enjoy them.
Thank you so much, Hugh. We would now like to invite you to speak and reflect about their performance. And you're muted as well, Padma.
Sorry. Merci beaucoup, Hugh. Et nous aimerions maintenant que tu nous partages tes réflexions sur ta performance.
Hi, everybody. First of all, thanks for all the great comments. I really appreciate it. Very happy that that you enjoyed the music. Really passionate about what I do. Well, my music is just I think what most artists are trying to do is just trying to tell a story. And my story is that I'm a boat people refugee from Vietnam, was born there from parents from Chinese descent. But I grew up in Canada, in Quebec, speaking French. And the first instrument I learned is guitar. And I started out in high school playing heavy metal music with friends. And then I studied jazz guitar at university. And after my first trip back to Vietnam when I was 23, I saw this guy play this instrument, the dan bao, and I was completely mesmerized. Yes. So I told myself that I had to learn this instrument in Montreal, and I was so lucky that one of the most respected players of this instrument used to live in Montreal for 15 years, and I had the chance to learn with him for the last 5 years he was there. I also played in his band. His name is Mr. Pham Duc Tan. So I learned with him the dan bao, and then after that, I went to see a music festival, an Asian music festival in Montreal. And after his performance was a performance of an erhu player from China, I started learning with her for 1 year, and then I got the chance to go study in Shanghai. And after that, I came back to Montreal and started being busy on the world music scene. And I met this Peruvian composer in a world music festival in Montreal. He was invited for 3 months in residency in Montreal, and through the festival we met and we played a few concerts together. And chemistry was so good that he invited me to play in Peru every year since then, since 2007. And so I had the chance to learn Spanish and this South American bamboo flute called the quena, and Afro-Peruvian rhythms. And after a few years playing with my Vietnamese teacher and my Chinese teacher as well, I mean the Chinese erhu, and playing South America, I just thought I was a little bit tired of changing hats all the time, like, okay, now I'm the jazz player, now I'm the Chinese player, now I'm the Vietnamese player, or the South American player. I wanted to create a context where I could make all those cultures dialogue together in some compositions that would be homogeneous and not just a collage of different things. So that's what I've been doing with my quintet for the last 8 years. And we will be touring in Canada during the next season. I think we'll be in BC, around the Vancouver area, in the May 2023. I will participate in some conferences in Alberta as well in the end of August, beginning of September, and I think also around October 20th in Alberta as well, but more closer to Winnipeg. The first conference I think is closer to Calgary, and closer to Edmonton for the second one, and also maybe we'll be in Manitoba in the end of October. So that's about it for me. My performance was pretty long, so I will let the other performers perform. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That was super duper cool. Our next artists reside from Winnipeg, Manitoba. Hiroshi Koshiyama and Naomi Gullibert of Fubuki Daiko. Fubuki Daiko reinvents traditional Japanese drumming with their eclectic and energetic performances that are part martial arts athleticism, part meditation, and all rhythm. For over 20 years, they performed at festivals, concert halls, and schools across North America. Collaborations with a wide range of groups, including the Winnipeg Singers, Moses May's Family Funk Band, the Northern Plains Ballet, and Ron Paley's Big Band, have continued to fuel their pursuit of excellence and innovation in this ancient art form. The core members of the group each have over 25 years of taiko experience and received their formative training from the founder of North American taiko, Grandmaster Seiichi Tanaka. After performing at Carnegie Hall with San Francisco Taiko Dojo and leaving with Tanaka's blessing, they relocated to Winnipeg, Manitoba, where they expanded into the current professional touring ensemble that you have today. The group's self-titled CD received a Prairie Music Award for Outstanding Instrumental Recording.
Nos prochains artistes viennent de Winnipeg, Hiroshi Koshiyama et Naomi Gilbert de Fubuki Daiko. Fubuki Daiko, excusez-moi, réinvente le tambour japonais traditionnel avec ses spectacles éclectiques et énergétiques, moitié performance athlétique d'art martial, moitié séance de méditation et 100% rythme. Depuis plus de 20 ans, le groupe se produit dans des festivals, des salles de spectacle ainsi que des écoles à travers l'Amérique du Nord. Leur collaboration avec un large éventail de groupes incluant les Winnipeg Singers, le Moses Mays Family Funk Band, Northern Plains Ballet et le Ron Paley's Big Band ont alimenté leur quête d'excellence et d'innovation dans cette forme d'art ancestral. Les membres principaux du groupe ont tous plus de 25 ans d'expérience en taiko et ont formé auprès du fondateur du taiko nord-américain, le grand maître Seiichi Tanaka. Après une performance au Carnegie Hall avec le San Francisco Taiko Dojo et en ayant reçu la bénédiction de Tanaka, ils se sont établis à Winnipeg, où ils se sont développés pour devenir l'ensemble professionnel de tournée d'aujourd'hui. Le disque éponyme du groupe a remporté le prix Outstanding Instrumental Recording du Prairie Music Award. Bonne écoute.
Please put your hands together for Fubuki Daiko.
Thank you very much. We are Fubuki Daiko. Fubuki literally means blizzard, and Taiko or Daiko literally means drums. We're based here in Winnipeg, so we named the group after the weather that we always get. The first two pieces we played were original compositions. The first flute duet was called Convergence, followed by a piece called COVID Drive-Thru. And COVID Drive-Thru was written during the pandemic. We were lucky enough to be able to practice together with my wife, Naomi, and myself at this place called Heartland English School. And at that time, the school was empty, and a friend of ours said, well, the space is free, and we were able to use the space and practice on our own. So during that time, we were able to develop a lot of our own songs. And during that time, I was feeling a little ill. And so rather than sitting at a drive-thru for about 3 hours doing nothing, I ended up having these rhythms in my head and basically developed this piece and called it COVID Drive-Thru. This next piece, this last piece, is called Furin Kazan. Furin Kazan literally means wind, forest, fire, and mountain. It's a piece dedicated to the elements, but it also has a second meaning. It is a battle strategy of a samurai warrior. His name was Takeda Shingen. And he divided his army into 3 groups. And he gave each group an element. And the first group would be the archers. They would be given the symbol of wind, followed by the infantry, who would be given the symbol of forest. The third group would be the cavalry, and they would be given the symbol of fire. The general would be on top of the mountain overlooking the battle, and he would be overseeing it. He would have this huge banner. This is a replica of the banner, and it would have this poem written on it, and it would say, to be as swift as a wind, quiet as a forest, merciless as fire, and immovable as a mountain. It's been a real pleasure for us to perform for you guys at the Asian Heritage Month, and thank you very much for having us here. We are Fubuki Daiko. Domo arigatou gozaimashita.
Thank you so much, Hiroshi and Naomi. And then we would now like to invite Hiroshi and Naomi to speak and reflect about their performance.
Merci Hiroshi et Naomi. Nous aimerions maintenant parler de votre performance.
Oh, hi! Thank you very much. It was a real fun time for us performing for this festival, and to be involved in this whole project has been really fun for us. And the songs that we did. The first piece was a fairly new song that we had developed actually during the pandemic, and so yeah, it's been really fun for us.
Yeah, thanks very much for asking us. We had a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. It's such a treat. And, you just really can't really get a sense of Taiko until you really see it in person, because it really booms your chest out. And I wish we could all experience that part of it too together. Thank you so much. Yeah. Well, wow. Thank you. Oh,
sorry.
Go ahead.
Thanks. So, Hiroshi, go for it.
Well, I was just going to say, wow, thank you so much for all the performances from our Asian Canadian community.
Oui, donc c'est vraiment une chance ce soir d'être entouré de autant de talents. Donc merci pour toutes ces performances incroyables de la part de notre communauté athlétique canadienne.
So incredible. And now, at this point of the night, we'd like to ask if you have any questions, audience watching or listening. If any audience members do have questions, please post your questions in the comments and chat section. I guess do you have any questions?
Yeah. C'est maintenant le moment de la soirée où nous organisons une séance de questions-réponses avec vous, le public. Vous êtes invités à poser vos questions dans la section des commentaires et des chats.
Well, for all, I guess the question for like, I guess I'll ask who first. Have you found it's difficult during the pandemic to be able to perform? Have you been able to perform at all, kind of thing?
Not for the first 12 months, that's for sure. And then I started doing what was it? A online concert for Lima in Peru. That was the first thing I did. Oh no, I did a concert after that in Montreal after 14 months, I think, of inactivity. That was half with not even have the capacity of the concert hall. But yeah, I used that time to perform and to compose. Like many creators in different artistic fields, many of us couldn't perform, so we concentrated on creating new pieces, and also learning other things. I've been since the last 9 months, I've been studying North Indian Hindustani music. So right now I'm in Paris, collaborating with an artist at the end of all that to create some music together, a sitar player and singer. So I try to use this time creatively and as productively as I can. So it was a good thing.
That's great. Pema, do you have a question?
Yeah, my question would be, I should say it in French, no? Vu que tu parles français.
Oui, pas de problème.
Oui, ma question c'est, tu es moitié vietnamien, moitié chinois, et elle vient d'où l'influence d'Amérique du Sud?
L'influence vient seulement de rencontres.
Des rencontres.
Oui, c'est seulement, ethniquement, je n'ai pas de sang sud-américain, mais c'est seulement le bouillonnement multiculturel qu'il y a à Montréal. Alors, il y avait un festival de musique du monde à Montréal il y a quelques années qui n'existe plus, où ils avaient l'habitude d'inviter un compositeur, un musicien d'un autre pays toutes les années. Et il y a une année, en 2006, c'était ce compositeur du Pérou qui s'appelle Lucho Quequesana. Alors, depuis notre rencontre, durant ce festival, on s'est liés d'amitié et puis on est restés de bons amis et puis la collaboration continue jusqu'à ce jour. Alors, la dernière fois que je suis allé jouer au Pérou, c'était en 2017 avec lui. Alors, bien sûr, j'ai développé une relation particulière avec ce pays. J'ai appris beaucoup de leur musique et de leurs instruments, des instruments et de la musique que j'introduis dans mes compositions aussi. Alors, je pense que pour moi, l'important, c'est pas nécessairement d'exprimer mes racines ethniques. Ça fait partie, bien sûr, de mon parcours, de mon background, mais ultimement, je me laisse porter par la musique, peu importe d'où elle vient. Alors, j'ai donné un concert en Afrique au mois de mars dernier, et puis j'ai écouté beaucoup de percussions africaines à ce moment-là. Alors, je prévois probablement faire un retour en Afrique pour étudier les percussions aussi africaines. Alors, pour moi, c'est toujours la musique qui a dirigé toutes mes décisions de vie. Ultimement, c'est pas d'où je viens ou en fait, je pense que tout ce que je veux dire, c'est que notre identité, c'est quelque chose de vivant aussi et de mobile. On est libre d'être qui on veut et faire ce qu'on veut de notre identité et de notre vie.
Merci beaucoup. Merci pour ta réponse.
Avec plaisir.
The next question is for Fubuki, Daiko, and for Hiroshi and Naomi. And if I was to be getting into taiko, it's a great way to stay in shape, to keep in rhythm, and even my mom was in taiko for a while when I was a kid. So I mean, it's pretty accessible. Do you guys teach workshops, or is there a class that is offered now that the pandemic's sort of winding down?
Yeah, we do. We've had a student group for the last 25 years since we started. We had it at a student group, but during the pandemic, like everything else has been shut down, and we were able to do some Zoom classes, and then we started when it was okay to be outside. We were doing outdoor classes just on these garbage can drums. We're back in the practice place that we're at in Osborne Village. It's at St. Luke's Church, and however, they still are limiting the number of participants to 12. So we haven't done a workshop. We used to offer workshops once a year at least, and then people who would be interested in taking those workshops, we would sort of pull them into our ongoing classes. We do have a list of people who are interested. So if anyone is interested, they're free to email us at info@fubuki.ca or just go to our website, fubuki.ca, and just let us know that they're interested and we can put them on our list. And whenever we do start a new group or whenever we do a workshop, we'll definitely contact them.
I'm sure we'll put that link in the description below.
For sure.
Great.
Hi. So yeah, my question would be if you ever toured in Quebec or if you're planning to tour in Quebec, and if the Japanese drumming scene is developed here in Quebec.
We did tour in Quebec for a couple of summers. We had an agent that was based in Quebec, and one of our group members, often when we tour with 4 people. So one of our members is bilingual, and so she was able to speak French when we toured throughout Quebec. And yeah, we had a great time. The audiences were very receptive. We loved being there.
Yeah.
The thing that I liked most was learning about some of the stage terminology in Quebec, because you don't say stage right, stage left. It's jardin and cour, which I thought was fascinating. Garden and court.
And rappel was rappel was encore, and it's like, it's not encore.
Isn't encore a French word? But no, the word was rappel to do one piece at the end. So that was just really interesting.
Yeah, and there is a group in Montreal called Arashi Daiko, and that we met up with them, and they've been around for many years as well, and they're an incredible group.
Yeah, really nice people.
Thank you. Thank you for your answer.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for being here.
you're
So
welcome.
happy to have you. Our next question would be for Sony and Shrina. You mentioned earlier about how you were how you sort of envisioned a world where an Asian identity wasn't solely sort of one thing, and sort of getting the message out that it's more than just one or two prominent cultures in Asia. When you think about that, what what do you think your community now is doing that is sort of helping blend? I mean, you're doing it very well, but is there any other sort of things that are sort of blending all these lines to help facilitate that image as well?
So, that's a really interesting question. Like, I think that in Canada right now, there's a huge emphasis on equity, diversity, inclusion. What does that look like? What does that mean? Because as a population, we are shifting, we are growing. Toronto and Vancouver, more than 50% of the population is minority, whatever that means in a Canadian context. So in Asia, there are over 50 countries. So I'm sure that when we look at a Canadian Asian diasporic identity, it's very diverse as well, right? That's the point. So I feel like South Asians have been here for more than 100 years. And we are crevassing different spaces, but we are also in unity with our larger Asian community as well, right? So I think one of the things that I definitely feel in Edmonton that has happened is, for example, the Edmonton Heritage Council has a project called the Edmonton City as a Museum project. It's online, and they document historical stories of different communities in Edmonton: Indigenous, Asian, European settlers, South American. So just this month, I actually published a story on Edmonton's dance community, like South Asian dance community. So that'll be coming out tomorrow, and it actually shows a growth of the South Asian population in terms of from the 1991 census to the present day. So you see how the community has expanded and has taken over Edmonton in different ways that wasn't seen possible before, right? Mm-hmm. So like 34th Avenue, for example, is a very popular South Asian strip where you get like dosa and chicken tikka and Hakka Chinese, which is like Indian Chinese. And when back in the day, it wasn't very developed. Now it's like full on Little India, Little Bangladesh, Little Pakistan, right? So I think that these spaces are taking over and becoming whatever we say mainstream or status quo. So it's really interesting to see that shift happening. And also like just in terms of other things. So Gurdeep Pandar, he's a Bhangra dancer from the Yukon. He's a Canadian sensation, right? I think he's really left an imprint. This summer, there's a Magpie Festival that's being held by Mao Zero Dance. And Bhangra is being incorporated into this festival. I'll be teaching 2 or 3 classes. So I feel like there's some efforts to mainstream and build out South Asian and Asian culture in mainstream artistic spaces, which is important because our voices have been here for long, but often they're not seen or centralized in that space. So I think that's what I'd just like to offer, Shrina.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, those are beautiful points, Sony. Little India has been part of Edmonton forever. Like it's been here since one of the first neighborhoods that were constructed. I think what's happening now, and Sony's kind of pointing to this as well, is it's now being incorporated into mainstream culture. It's not like it wasn't here before. It's not like people didn't know about it. The communities knew about it, and that's what drove that drove the market in that area. That's what helped Little India stay in Edmonton. But I think what's happening is as more South Asians and Asian people are starting to be recognized in different circles, we are now seeing an influx of different audiences come into Little India. And I think, and that kind of that example also speaks to what is happening in a larger context with Edmonton as a whole. We're finally starting to see within certain organizations. Sony's mentioned Mile Zero Dance. We've mentioned Skirts of Fire. These are organizations that are recognizing Asian artists within their own circles and saying, hey, like we have a space for you. Come, present your work with us. Present it in a space where it is out of your community, but it's in a larger community. So people who who wouldn't necessarily have access to you now do. And I think that's really important. I just finished a musical production with the Citadel Theater here in Edmonton, and I was asked to be a dance choreographer. And for me, that was so big, being a South Asian dancer and being asked to come in and please choreograph a musical production for a musical that is not in South Asian context. Right. So like it's those kinds of things are really important, is recognizing that just because I look this way, that doesn't mean I can't translate my work into new spaces, into spaces that may only be perhaps reserved for Western contemporary dancers. And I think that's such a brilliant offering. And that's what needs to start happening more and more, is to offer these opportunities to more BIPOC individuals, and to say,
That's
come
interesting.
into our spaces and do what you do, because we recognize you may not have the background we're seeking, but we know you're good at your art. Like, we can see that you're an artist. Can you translate that into this forum? And I'm so grateful for opportunities like that. I think that's what we need more of. It's the idea of Little India again, right? Like bringing a different audience to Little India, and that helps everyone have a little bit more access to a culture that they may not have.
Yeah, definitely. And it's I was just doing this this film sort of panel discussion about careers in film, and how specifically how we can get more Asian people working in film. And basically the final answer was like, we just need to hire each other. And that's sort of interesting how like the way to get more exposure is, you know, once one has a platform, you can invite each other to share and collaborate and sort of expand the full kind of view of everybody involved. So if one gets recognized, we can all help each other get more recognized too.
Yeah, Jesse, I think that's a great point. I think there's so much of that happening, and that needs to continue happening. But I'd like to add that like that just needs to be recognized by folks of every shade. You know, like it's the train could move a lot faster if everyone could see talent before skin color, before all of, like, and that is still important. It's important to recognize who somebody is for their identity, but not make it about tokenism, but really see the person for their art form. And I think for each other, and it's so beautiful when other people recognize that and say, "Hey, get on board! Like, we want you, we see you for your talent." And that's beautiful when we can start to see each other that way.
And I think that building on Shrina's point, agree to everything. Like, Asian Heritage Month is an act of resistance as well, right? It's an act of recognizing that we have faced racism in Canada in many different facets, from the Japanese to the Chinese to people from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, from Nepal. Like, there's a lot of racism that still exists in our community, like in Canada, right? Like, in Alberta specifically, like just with the big convoys that happened. So that's why the prairies are a different way of understanding how identity fits and what different communities go through as well, because they're maybe different than bigger cities, right? So I just wanted to bring that on the table. But I also wanted to share that there's a really great organization in Alberta called Creatives Empowered. That is actually looking at challenging this film sort of like artistic status quo to inject more BIPOC. So it's really interesting to see how this is also happening in the prairies across Alberta, right? And in terms of ourselves, like Shrina and I, we're going to be offering classes in the fall online, and we also offer yoga classes. So if you're interested, I know you're going to be putting hopefully our information in the YouTube channel, and my Instagram handle is LunaRoom0 and Shrina's is Shakti Flow. So we encourage you to come and check out our Instagram, our social medias, because we also want to be able to offer you an opportunity to, take part in the joy that we want to share with us, right? So yeah, thank you so much.
And Pema, do you have one last question? Oh, maybe. Oh, well, I will ask it on your behalf, since I think she might be frozen a little bit. what is some advice you could give to other Asian Canadians who want to pursue arts as a career?
Ooh, do it. Yeah, go for it. I think that's another barrier I think that a lot of South Asian Canadians face is, can I build a career in the arts, and is it worth it, and all these other questions of like sustainability and whatnot. And the advice I'd offer is, one, if you have a drive and a passion for it, yes, go for it. Please don't hold back because of the barriers you see looking from the outside in. Once you're in, connect with as many folks as you can. Like, connect with other South Asian Canadian artists. Like, we are all here to support each other. I have an Indigenous friend, Tennille Whiskey Jack, who is just a very talented human being, an actor, a playwright, a dramaturge, and we were comparing notes one day, and you know, she said very beautifully, what's mine is mine, and what's yours is yours. I cannot shadow what is already coming. I cannot take away what is coming to you. And I think that's something that is impacted me quite a bit and resonates with me to this day. And it's this idea that we're all afraid that there's only space for one of us, maybe two of us, maybe three the most. And we start to get a little like, oh, like if you get in, what does that mean about me? And being I'm also an actor as well and a dramaturge, and I find that those are the questions I wrestled with quite a bit. And I went in the trajectory of dance and kind of ignored my theater and acting background because I didn't see space for me. And I had this thing in my head of, yeah, there isn't space for me. And I see other people doing it, but I don't see space for me. I think that's changing. And I think it's really up to us to stand up and say, hey, I'm here and I'm ready. I'm hungry for it. And I believe that space is mine, and claiming that space and knowing that if you really go for it, those opportunities will present themselves. When I started, I'll do a very short story and then I'm going to pass it off to Sony. When I started teaching Bollywood dance in Edmonton, people had no idea what I meant when I said, oh, I teach Bollywood. What does that mean? Kind of going off to what Sony was saying, like teaching dance or any South Asian dance form in the prairies is such a different experience than being out in Toronto or Vancouver or Montreal. And I would actually introduce people to the concept of what I did by saying, hey, have you seen that show, So You Think You Can Dance? Remember that like fun number where they're like screwing the light bulb, petting the dog? And people are like, oh yeah, with like the fun colors. And I'm like, that's what I do. And that was my intro. That was literally how I got people in through the door, was to go back and reference that. It wasn't until years later where people were like, oh yeah, I totally know what you do. This is what you do. And then I got boxed into this idea that Shrina Patel is Bollywood and only Bollywood. So taking that box off was a whole different journey for me. And I think it's totally different for South Asian Canadians now. If you wanted to work into the arts now, the platform is set. That part of the journey is paved for you. So come on in and like start to network, reach out to your fellow South Asian artists, and let's start making art together. I think there is definitely a way. But it's all
and just building off Shrina's point. Like, I think, arts is so broad, right? So I've been an arts administrator. I've given grants for artists for heritage work. I teach at Grant McEwen University in the arts and cultural faculty. And I'm one of the only faculty of color. So I feel like people need to be more forthcoming in building their capacity to share art as Asians in those spaces as well. Because we are far and in between. Like, there's not very much representation. So I think that also having that opportunity to be an arts administrator, to influence the arts and the cultural ecosystem that you're in your city, in your university, in as a faculty or as a student, in the way that you want arts to be seen and how the fusion can take place. Like, we saw fusion everywhere today. It was beautiful, right? So in Canada, as a diaspora, that's the beauty. We can fusion everything and retain that tradition, but also have this new emergence, which is beautiful. So I think this is what I would suggest for people. Just find those crevices and keep going with that creativity. Thank you so much.
And also just like find a person who's kind of Asian in the kind of field that you want and just email them, like for real. That's the way to really do it. And just get on their radar and be like, hey, I want to work in this field, you know, we can help each other out. And 9 out of 10 times they're going to help you out for real.
Yeah. Make that connection.
Yeah, you just gotta do it. Like I'm an art director for things, and I, you know, do my best to hire. I have some hiring abilities. Do my best to hire, you know, people in the community, or at least women, or, you know, kind of I don't want to hire just another white guy if I can. So I'm always trying to look that out. And that's the only way we can really move things forward together. Everybody, we need to have some people in some power to be able to make some hiring decisions to help things along, I think.
Thank you. Thank you for all the questions. We really appreciate the space.
Thank you all for coming and sharing your unique points of view. Well, not unique. I mean, this is shared. This is, you know, this is stuff we all want to see. So thank you very much for that.
Yes, merci beaucoup pour ces mots inspirants. Thanks for these inspiring words.
Yeah, I believe that's basically it for today. I think this will be concluding the 2022 May or March, whatever month we're in, the Asian Heritage Month for May. Yeah, that's where we are. May 2022. On the move, second national showcase in the bag. Can't wait for the third one. I can't wait to see everybody next year. Have a great evening. Have a great rest of your Asian Heritage Month. Keep thinking Asian thoughts.
Merci beaucoup. Nous tenons à remercier les artistes, les organisateurs de l'événement et surtout vous, le public, pour avoir fait partie de la 2e édition de En Mouvement, une vitrine nationale pour le mois du patrimoine asiatique. Et nous espérons vous revoir tout le monde l'année prochaine. Passez une excellente soirée et profitez de ce mois. Merci.
And one last thing, we just want to thank our sponsor TD. They're the bank I use. You know, you can use your TD debit card online. Cool, man. It's debit, it's a Visa. What the heck? Hey, use TD. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Merci TD, du coup, le sponsor principal. Merci beaucoup.
And thank you to our lovely MCs, Jessie and Pema, for keeping us on track and like hosting this beautiful event. And thank you for all the organizers who put all this hard work in to have a national forum. It was so beautiful. I'm so grateful to be part of it. Namaste and good night.
Namaste.
Thank you so much.